support from people throughout my career. And perhaps in a moment or two, I'll reference a few of these people by name and give some credit, although I know not a single one of these people really wants any credit. That's just exactly not the way it works, which is exactly why it can be such a powerful relationship and why it is exactly not what a lot of people really think it is. I don't think you necessarily go out and approach somebody and say, hey, will you be my mentor in that way? Sometimes it happens more naturally and more organically. A mentor can be a boss. In many ways, the figure can have, I think, some characteristics of a relationship that might feel a little bit like a parent in some ways, or maybe a parent that you didn't have, or filling a role that a parent didn't fill, couldn't fill, failed to fill for you in some way. I also don't necessarily know. I've certainly never gone out and said, hey, I want to mentor you to a particular individual. Do I have people who I have mentored? That's not for me to say. I don't think that's my decision to say I have been a mentor to this person or that person or another person. There very well may be people out there, and very humbly, there very well may be people out there who consider me to be a mentor of theirs, to have mentored them, to have provided that type of support and in that type of role. Certainly, I would hope that because I've dedicated a huge portion of my career to helping people in a variety of ways, in a variety of mediums, in a variety of places. This YouTube channel and this conversation being a good example of that. But it's not for me to say whether I've actually mentored somebody. That's kind of their end of it. Just as though it is my role to say, hey, this person, that person have been mentors to me. And there have been many of them along the way at many facets of my career, at many points, in many different categories. Long before I got into the beauty and barber industry, I had some early sales managers in sales jobs outside of the industry. I had early bosses in this industry who were not through any kind of, a handshake agreement. Hi, I'm Ivan. I'm going to be your student and you're going to be my mentor. It's the kind of thing that evolves naturally and organically when and where there's a great fit. And I certainly know that if I were to tick off a list of names of people that I consider to be mentors of mine, those people, the people that I think of when I rattle off some names and I think of these names in my head, these are all people I think that would agree that they have derived benefit from a relationship with me. Exactly that two-way street kind of relationship that I think is so important for it to be successful. I offer coaching. I offer phone coaching. I offer one-on-one coaching. I offer various levels of support through my Patreon page, the link for which will be right here in this video. And again, people may consider that a form of mentoring. And again, that's sort of for them to determine. But I go back to those characteristics. Find somebody who knows what you want to know. Mentoring in many ways, I think, is the passing on of knowledge. And one of the reasons I think it's so important in our business is so much of our business is not documented. Even today, with all the videos and all the books and everything else, so much of what goes on in a barbershop, behind a chair, in the practice of serving an individual client, in the practice of building and serving a clientele, and in the practice of really owning long-term a viable and successful haircutting business. So much of that doesn't really exist in a form in which someone can just consume it on their own. I think I've tried with my books to fill some gaps in that. You can certainly get a copy of a classic barbering textbook, and there's a ton of great information in there, but it's the difference between reading a book and living and having an experience versus trying to assimilate that education through a classroom setting or a reading setting versus, roll up the sleeves and get out there and get it done kind of learning. So I think there's a big difference there. Find someone who knows what you want to know. Find someone who's doing what you want to do. If you aspire to be, for instance, a really highly skilled men's hair cutter, I think you need to spend time with, learn from, be coached and supported by someone who is a highly skilled men's hair cutter. I don't think you can get that in a classroom in barbering or cos education. I say this all the time. A cosmetology license doesn't make you a cosmetologist. A barber license doesn't make you a barber. There's so much more to being successful, no matter how you want to measure success, because when we get into conversations about success, I said, somebody asked me at a class recently, when did you become successful? I said, how do you want to measure that? How, I woke up this morning, I'm a success. I built up and sold off a successful business, a profitable business, a viable business. I'm a success. I don't know how you measure some of those things. So find someone who knows what you want to know. Find someone who's doing what you want to do. Find someone who has what you want to have. If your goal is to own your own home, to own a car paid for with cash, to have a big fat 401k account, to have money set aside for your kids' college education, if you have big financial, measurable, tangible money goals, you need to be learning from somebody who has achieved those money goals before you, not somebody with an Instagram or a YouTube who says, hey, this is how you do it. Kind of lead by example. Find someone who is living that life, who's walking the path you wish to walk, and get in step behind them on that path. I think that's a huge piece of what identifying a mentor is all about. And a mentor also has to be someone who not only wants to share, and in many cases desire is not enough, but also has the skill set to share in that way. There's a big difference between being able to do a flat top and being able to teach a flat top from a mentoring standpoint. It's one thing to say, I'm going to cut this flat top, stand right over my shoulder here and watch me cut this flat top. And there are people, visual learners, for whom that can be a very valuable exercise. There are other people, auditory learners, who, if you say, I'm going to talk you through this haircut while you watch, they may be getting more from the dialogue that's part of all that, based on how they learn and based on how this person needs to teach. So that's where finding a fit is so important in mentoring, because while I may be a really good technical executor, if I find a mentee, a student, a pupil, a up and coming individual that's seeking that mentorship, that learns by watching, we might have a perfect fit. But I know plenty of people for whom watching is not enough. They need to do. They may need me to stand behind them while they cut, and me coach go, no, wait, tip the comb, hold your hand this way, and where they're actually doing the work. That's a whole different kind of investment of time and attention. And realistically, that's somebody who's making a very different commitment. There's not a lot of commitment associated with, hey, just look over my shoulder and watch this. That person's not real heavily invested. It's a different deal. MMA, Barber Life, finally subscribed and now catching a live stream. Love your work and enthusiasm, Ivan. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for joining in, and thank you for your comment. I appreciate that as well. So find somebody who knows what you want to know. Find somebody who's doing what you want to do. Find somebody who has what you want to have. Find somebody who's truly willing to share, and that willingness is an important piece of the puzzle. It's not enough that you want what they have. It's so very important that they want to share, are capable of sharing, and then again, that there is that matchup. And I'll challenge those of you out there that are looking for this mentoring kind of situation. I'll challenge you by asking the question, what are you bringing to the relationship? What are you bringing to the table in the conversation? When you target someone as a potential mentor, and you're going to approach them and you're going to ask for things, and you're going to, and people approach me and ask me for things all the time. And I say yes all the time. And I say no occasionally. But when you're approaching someone and asking for that kind of help or that kind of support, What are you offering in return? And I'm not talking about money. Mentoring is not a paid relationship. Paid coaching is definitely not the same as mentoring. What are you bringing to their situation? You know, when I look back on the people that I consider to have been valued mentors, I said this earlier. When I look back on the people that I consider to be valued mentors to me, certainly I can identify places, ways, circumstances, and situations where they were gaining or benefiting from me. Now, in some cases, I may have been an employee. As an employee, I was providing support, I was providing labor, I was helping them build and grow their business, I was contributing profitability to their bottom line. That's a very different investment in supporting someone as a mentor, but that doesn't mean they're not a mentor. One of my greatest mentors in this business, someone I learned great lessons from, was one of my first employers. He was my boss. He paid me to work there in a commission salon situation. And I think if asked, he would take great pride in a legacy of mentoring in our industry, hundreds of people just like me who came to him, whether out of beauty school, barber school, or out of other work situations, because his place of business was one that was known for training and educating and nurturing and developing people in the industry. There's a line there between boss slash supervisor and then that transition into mentorship, and just the providing of labor in exchange for time doesn't necessarily make it what you're giving back on the other side of that relationship. So I would ask maybe better, bigger, better than that. There have been people in this business who have not been employers, but who have been almost more friends in the industry of mine, who, because they were longer in the industry, better established, more knowledgeable, more experienced, while the relationship with them was that of friend, over time, I look back on the relationship and go, wow, what a powerful mentor to me this individual has been. So just some general ideas. I had a Post-it note that had the word mentoring on it because I thought it was a subject that could be, should be, needed to be addressed in dialogue, in our general discourse in our industry and what we're talking about and what we've got going on. I think this is just a nugget of a conversation. I think there's a lot more that can be had and could be had and should be had. And I look forward to that in the comments on this video. As this video will live on YouTube, our ability to engage in conversation and dialogue on it is unlimited. So please don't hesitate. Get in the comments here. In the description, maybe I'll call out a couple of my specific mentors. I don't necessarily want to put some of these people out there on this file in this way. Maybe not, but either way, if you've got a mentor you want to acknowledge, great, throw it out there. If you've got an experience from mentoring that had a very positive benefit on your career and an impact in who you are and what you do, put it out there. Would love to see it, would love to have it. Also, keep in mind, mentoring over the course of a career, another just kind of idea that popped into my head on this, different people, different times, different places, different ways, different categories. I have some folks who have been very much technical mentors to me, but were not really capable of or not really valuable to me from a business perspective. They were able to bring a lot to the table technically. I have some other folks who, because they weren't even related to the beauty and barber industry, have been mentors of mine in a business sort of way or category, that have no technical connection to me or even our industry. And there's also folks, let's take it out of the business. There have been people that have been mentors to me in the category of being a dad, or being a husband, or being a friend. And I think those things can be just as valuable, maybe even more so, in being a better human in life. Because you know what? If you're just a better person, a guy said this yesterday, I think I saw it on Instagram, a guy that's a pretty well-known barber who I know to be a pretty good technical barber, and I know him to be a pretty good business person. He was commenting on the idea that when people ask him, hey, how do I accomplish X, Y, Z in this business? His answer really just came down to just work on you, work on being a better you, in everything that makes you, you, and this other stuff will fall into place. And this is a guy, that's mentorship. This is a guy who's not a peer of mine. He's significantly younger. He's newer in the business. He's kind of an up and coming kind of guy. But you can learn from somebody like that as well, no matter where you are in your career and along the path. And that's a great example of somebody who maybe this guy might even look to me as a mentor, and here I am learning something from him. That's the two-way street we're talking about that I think is so potentially valuable. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Comment, like, share, subscribe. You know how all of that works. Let's get a conversation about mentoring going. Let's find out who we can be helping. And let's get a clear understanding of how we hope to be helped. Thanks for watching. Everybody out there, have a great day. Take care. Bye now.